Imagine you're out with a close friend, and out of nowhere, they throw a sharp, biting insult your way. It stings. You bite your tongue, deciding it's best to let it go for the night. Fast forward a few months, you finally sit them down to clear the air. But instead of apologizing, they stare at you blankly. They deny it ever happened. They insist they would never say such a thing. Suddenly, your confidence wavers. You start wondering if you misremembered the tone or if you're making a big deal out of nothing. By the end of the conversation, you find yourself apologizing to the person who insulted you. You have just experienced gaslighting. Gaslighting functions as a systematic, slow-acting rewriting of your memory and your entire perception of reality. The term itself traces back to a 1938 British stage play, which was later adapted into a 1943 film called Gaslight. In the story, a husband repeatedly causes the gas lamps in their home to flicker and dim. Every time his wife points out the shifting light, he insists the room is perfectly bright, systematically convincing her she is losing her mind. But a manipulator cannot pull this off instantly. The tactic requires a specific environment to take root, a pre-existing power imbalance, or a deep structural dependency between the two people. It works because the target implicitly trusts the manipulator. The abuser leverages that reliance, hiding total psychological domination behind a mask of care and concern. The takeover starts small. The manipulator tests boundaries with tiny, almost trivial lies. The target spots the falsehoods but brushes them off, choosing to avoid conflict over minor things. Once that baseline is established, the tactic escalates to straight denial. When confronted about a broken promise or an outburst, the abuser stares you in the eye and bluntly insists it never happened, attacking your memory. If denial fails, they deploy feigned ignorance. You try to communicate a basic, undeniable fact, and they look at you as if you're speaking an alien language, forcing you to doubt your own ability to articulate reality. Then comes the diversion, like setting out to accomplish a crucial task, but getting completely sidetracked picking seeds out of cotton. You attempt to address a specific issue, but the manipulator slams down a completely unrelated past grievance. Suddenly, you are scrambling to defend yourself against this new accusation. The original topic vanishes entirely, replaced by a defensive spiral. Finally, they use minimization. When you manage to pin down their behavior, they wave it away, telling you that you are simply being overly emotional or dramatic about a completely normal situation. This toolkit of conversational pivots effectively turns your own mind into a hostile, unreliable environment. Phase 3 involves total isolation. This psychological architecture scales seamlessly from private relationships to entire civilizations, using that exact same erosion of self-trust to systematically manage and assert total control over very large populations. For centuries, archaic traditions successfully convinced women they inherently lacked the intellect to navigate the outside world. By installing that deep self-doubt, institutions forced millions into strict domestic isolation and financial dependency. The exact same playbook is used by rigid caste systems and religious gatekeepers. When followers face hardship, authorities insist the suffering is entirely the followers' own fault for failing to perform rituals correctly, stripping away their self-confidence and enforcing compliance. Whether deployed by a manipulative partner in a living room or an archaic institution ruling a population, the mechanism works identically. Strip away the target's self-trust, and you systematically ensure their absolute, total, and unquestioning obedience without any resistance. The clinical endpoint of this manipulation is severe. The victim experiences extreme anxiety, profound isolation, and a compulsion to constantly apologize for things they didn't do. Eventually, they face the terrifying sensation that they are genuinely going insane. The motive behind all of this is the extraction of absolute control. The abuser traps the target in a state of total reliance, ensuring they are perfectly positioned to be used and misused without resistance. A gaslighter has zero interest in winning a disagreement. Their goal is to tear down your perception so they can become the sole author of your reality. Breaking the spell requires decisive action. First, you have to stop seeking the abuser's validation and begin ruthlessly trusting your own gut instincts again. Second, keep cold, objective records. Write down exact times, dates, and witnesses to specific events, cutting off their ability to rewrite history. Third, shatter the forced isolation. Seek out third-party perspectives to verify your experiences. And if the power imbalance cannot be dismantled, you must walk away entirely. Objective, verifiable reality belongs to you. It remains a territory you can always reclaim, regardless of the narrative imposed by those in power.